What is going on, guys? This is Daniel, and several weeks ago I analyzed the Golden State Warriors' #1 ranked defense, and I showed you how they performed ice on pick and rolls, how they defended dribble drives, they were willing to switch screens, and they played hard and communicated expertly. Now, I will be breaking down the Minnesota Timberwolves' 30th ranked defense. They struggle with basic defensive concepts, and they are a young team, so that's somewhat understandable, but 30th is still unacceptable, and it's one of the main reasons, besides injuries, Minnesota is one of the worst teams in the NBA. Let's get to it. Good NBA defenses do not allow drives toward the middle, but watch here when Jang closes out on Paul Millsap, he forces him toward the middle, a big mistake, add in the fact that Pekovic doesn't step up and rotate like he should, and it's a layup. This time it's Thaddeus Young who allows his man to blow right by him toward the middle, and it's 2 points. Notice here how Troy Daniels is at least trying to force the ball handler toward the sideline, but one simple crossover and he's beat, and this is why you do not allow middle on a drive. Look at what the ball handler has. He can kick it out to shooters on both sides, or here he takes it himself and gets an and one. The Wolves do a nice job of containing this pick and roll, and then the on-ball defender does a great job of forcing sideline, but Pekovic does not step up. That is his rotation to contest at the basket. His teammate is even in great position to drop low to prevent the dump-off pass, and it's a layup. Here it's Chase Budinger who should be rotating from the weak side to try to take a charge, but it's about positioning, and here he doesn't even have a foot in the paint, and by the time he realizes it should be his help, it's too late. Here's a great example of the Wolves playing good defense here, as they don't allow middle on the drive, Budinger is prompt on his rotation, and they force a tough shot. But NBA defense isn't easy. Here Pekovic is prompt on his rotation, but Young doesn't drop down and sink and fill, helping the helper, and it's an easy dump-off pass for a dunk. I can only imagine how frustrated Pekovic must be at times. Here he does a great job of rotating from the weak side, but he has to rely on a rookie, Glenn Robinson, to react on the fly and sink and fill. It's not going to happen. Ice defense on pick and rolls is predicated on forcing sideline. The Wolves do not play ice defense. They allow the ball handler toward the middle. This becomes a 2-on-1 against the sagging big man, and it's a dunk. Their defense versus screen and rolls are a problem, and here again they allow middle, and then Jang helps one pass away unnecessarily off a good 3-point shooter in Paul Millsap, and that was not a good idea. Again, the Wolves allow middle on a screen and roll, and this again turns into a 2-on-1 for Atlanta, but Jeff Teague bails them out by picking up his dribble, negating the advantage, and they get a stop. So on this screen and roll, Jang has to bump the roll man, fine, but after that, they rotate poorly as they should execute a simple switch. This is the proper rotation on this weak side circumstance, but they don't, and they give up an open 3. The Hawks here will set a pin down for Korver into a dribble pitch, and at this point, it's clear Wiggins got stuck on the screen and will not be able to make it to contest the Korver 3, so Jang should step out and take the switch. This doesn't happen, and they leave Korver open. The Wolves will use the hedge and go under tactic against pick and pops, which is when the screener can shoot, and I like this. This is a good idea, and here they contain the screen and roll and force a tough shot. Again, Minnesota contains it nicely, but here Jang falls for a pump fake and fouls a 3-point shooter. Miscommunication is often their downfall, as here the on-ball defender goes under the screen, but there is no hedge, and it's a wide open jumper. This time they want to hedge and go under, but Mo Williams allows his man to drive right past him toward the middle. They rarely seem to be on the same page, as here Williams goes under the screen, but there is no hedge, and it's a wide open 3. And the Hawks are just mean, as here they set a double on-ball screen, and look at what DeMarre Carroll has. He can shoot it himself, pass it to a wide open Korver, or here attack and find Horford. Horrible defense. From what I saw, they were actually okay at guarding off-ball screens, but again here, miscommunication strikes as 2 guys go to Korver, but luckily they get away with it. This time, Andrew Wiggins gets stuck on a double screen, and on good defensive teams they'd simply switch, with the man guarding the last screener simply popping out to execute a switch, but this doesn't happen here. The Wolves also seem to have a bad habit of helping one pass away, and here Robbie Hummel does, which could free up an open corner 3. Watch out here, it's Wiggins who helps one pass away, and Carroll buries a 3. Well, there you have it guys. I thought I'd need to go through 2 or 3 games to find sufficient footage for this breakdown, but it turns out one game was enough to show you how bad this defense really is. A lot of it has to do with youth, but a decent percentage of blame, of course, has to go on the coaching staff led by Flip Saunders. Well, thanks for watching and see you next time.